What if I told you that reaching $100,000 in savings doesn't just change the number in your bank account, but actually activates what financial experts quietly refer to as the $100,000 rule? What if I told you this number one that seems random on the surface creates a mental and mathematical shift so powerful that wealthy people see it as the true beginning of real wealth? Most people assume that $100,000 is just another checkpoint on the road to becoming a millionaire. But that belief completely misses the point. This is the moment when money stops working against you and starts working for you in ways that most people never experience. My name is Nick, and I've spent an embarrassing amount of time studying why some people actually build wealth while others collect participation trophies in the financial Olympics. If you want to understand what truly happens when you cross the most important savings threshold nobody talks about, make sure you subscribe and hit the like button if this video challenges everything you thought you knew about money. Here's what completely blew my mind when I first learned about the $100,000 rule. Everyone is obsessed with becoming a millionaire, but the real transformation happens at 6 figures. It's like focusing on the final level of a video game while ignoring the boss fight that unlocks all the hidden abilities. Going from $50,000 to $100,000 isn't just doubling your savings. It's like realizing your money has been hiding superpowers the entire time. The first major change sounds boring, but it's actually revolutionary. Your money starts producing serious money. That might sound obvious, but stay with me because this is where the math gets interesting. When you had $10,000 earning 8% annually, you made about $800 a year. That's nice, but not life-changing. It's like your money was working a part-time job for minimum wage. But when $100,000 earns that same 8%, you're generating $8,000 every single year. That's no longer pocket change. That's real income your money earns while you're sleeping. Your savings are suddenly working harder than most people do at their actual jobs. And here's the part people overlook. That $8,000 grows every year if you leave it alone. Which means your money keeps getting raises while you're binge-watching Netflix. This is the moment compound interest stops being a theoretical concept financial advisors talk about and becomes something you can actually feel. Before $100,000, compound interest was like that friend who promises to help you move but never shows up. Technically present, but useless. After $100,000, compound interest becomes your most reliable employee, showing up daily, producing results, and never asking for time off. But there's something nobody warns you about. Hitting $100,000 can seriously mess with your head in both good and uncomfortable ways. Your brain, which has been trained to think in terms of scarcity and survival, suddenly has to process abundance. It's like your financial operating system gets a major upgrade and sometimes the new version has bugs. The first psychological shift is what I call investment fearlessness. Before $100,000, every investment decision felt like Russian roulette. You couldn't afford to lose. Investing $1,000 felt terrifying because what if you needed that money for rent? But once you have $100,000 saved, losing $1,000 becomes irritating instead of devastating. It is the difference between losing your only pair of shoes and losing one pair out of many. This fearlessness unlocks strategies that were impossible before. You can buy when markets crash. You can hold through volatility instead of panic selling. You can take calculated risks on growth opportunities. In other words, you gain access to the same mental tools wealthy people use, which is exactly why they keep getting wealthier. From a behavioral economics perspective, this is where things get fascinating. The $100,000 milestone triggers what researchers call wealth identity formation. Before this point, you might have money, but you don't see yourself as someone who has money. You're still operating from fear. Crossing 6 figures changes that. You begin thinking like someone who has money instead of someone who's just temporarily not broke. This identity shift shows up everywhere. You stop checking your bank balance obsessively. You buy based on value, not just price. You start thinking in opportunity costs instead of affordability. That expensive course you once hesitated on suddenly makes sense because you realize increasing your income by even 10% would pay for it quickly. Your relationship with your career also changes. With $100,000 saved, you're no longer working just to survive, you're working to grow. That shift creates a level of professional confidence that can't be faked. You negotiate harder because you're not desperate. You take on challenges because failure won't destroy you. You speak up in meetings because losing your job wouldn't ruin your life. That confidence creates a feedback loop. Better decisions lead to better outcomes, which create more confidence. You start thinking strategically about your career instead of just trying to stay afloat. But no one prepares you for how weird social dynamics get at this level. Suddenly, you're the friend with money. People assume you should cover dinners. Family members expect financial advice. Lending money suddenly feels complicated. Dating becomes strange too. Savings make you more attractive, but not always for the right reasons. At the same time, you become far more aware of other people's financial habits. Poor money management stops being quirky and starts looking like a serious red flag. Another unexpected shift happens around spending. You develop what I call strategic spending. You stop buying things impulsively or avoiding purchases purely because they're expensive. Instead, you think in terms of return on investment. A gym membership becomes a health investment. A course becomes an income investment. A high-quality mattress becomes a sleep investment. You spend more on what matters and cut aggressively on what doesn't. Before $100,000, investing felt like gambling. After it, market volatility becomes opportunity. You finally understand why investors like Warren Buffett get excited during crashes. This shift allows wealth to compound the way it's supposed to. The wealthy don't win by being safe. They win by being able to take smart risks when others are paralyzed by fear. Here's where things get really wild. $100,000 changes your relationship with time. When you're broke, you can only think about immediate needs. Psychologists call this temporal myopia. Savings give you temporal flexibility. You start thinking in years instead of weeks. Long-term plans stop feeling impossible. You can afford patience. Risk perception flips too. Having more money often makes you more willing to take calculated risks. Starting a business, changing careers, investing in yourself all become possible. This creates the $100,000 paradox. You have more to lose, yet you feel safer taking smart risks because your foundation is solid. Small expenses stop stressing you out. A $50 decision becomes irrelevant. Perspective replaces panic. At this level, compound interest becomes addictive. Watching your money generate $8,000, $10,000 per year changes how you see the world. You realize wealth isn't magic, it's math plus time. You stop thinking about spending money and start thinking about deploying capital. Spending makes money disappear. Deploying capital expects it to return with more. Career choices transform. Jobs become optional, not prisons. You gain runway to pivot, retrain, or build something new. You shift from avoidance motivation to approach motivation. You stop running from being broke and start running towards something meaningful. You also develop what I call financial recognition. You can instantly identify others who understand money. Their behavior gives them away. Material desires flip. Once you can afford almost anything, you start questioning whether you even want it. Luxury loses its grip. Time horizons expand. Decisions are made with your future self in mind. You also become invisible to predatory financial systems. Payday lenders disappear. High-interest traps lose relevance. Meanwhile, banks suddenly want your attention. Crossing $100,000 reveals how much of the economy depends on people being broke and how different the rules are once you re-not. Professionally, you stop being an employee who needs a job and become a professional who chooses one. That distinction changes everything. Confidence attracts opportunity. Opportunity builds wealth. When your money starts working consistently, checking your investments becomes rewarding instead of stressful. So no $100,000 isn't just a savings goal. It's an entry point into an entirely different financial reality. If you're still working toward it, remember, every dollar saved is buying you options, confidence, and time. The journey matters as much as the number. If this changed how you think about money, subscribe for more deep dives into financial psychology. Comment where you are on your journey and hit like so others can discover why $100,000 is the milestone nobody talks about.